Hello and welcome to Streamtabulous. This is obviously semi a product review, but at the same time, this is more of if you brought the NexiGo N60 or looking at buying the NexiGo N60, you're going to want to watch this video. Because if you look at the reviews, and I suggest you go through and look at the reviews, there are a lot of people that plug this camera in and it doesn't work. I was in the same boat and I was about to send it back. And I'm going to talk to you about what happened right after the intro. Welcome back. So I got the NexiGo N60. It came in the mail. I haven't had any time to do a photo restoration. I do have an idea of one that I want to do, but massive headaches trying to get this thing to work. Serious stress, considering you're going out and you're buying a $51 camera, and it comes out and you plug it in and it's not detecting. You end up ripping your hair out. The reviews on the camera, I'm starting to think, are not so true to the camera, or maybe somewhere along the line, NexiGo have changed the camera and they haven't updated specs of the camera, and it's not as good as what the original was. And you really need to watch this video. This is 2023. First of all, this is the camera I received. This is NexiGo N60. But if you have a look at the picture that I've got open on this side over here, you'll notice that this lens is very different. And it looks the same here as what's pictured. But the camera itself is not this lens. It's completely different. There's been a lot of changes. Watching the product reviews on this camera, the quality that they're showing is very close to a digital SLR. This is far from it. It's still a lot better than the Kmart camera that I was running. We'll get into that. But we want to talk firstly about the camera. So this is the NexiGo N60, and I'm just going to open up my camera on my phone here. And it's probably going to be a little bit laggy, bear with it. Okay, so you can see it there. That's the lens on the camera. It actually looks like it's plastic. It's no longer glass. It's also missing the anti-reflective lens that you see in the product video. I've shone a light on this. There doesn't seem to have that. On glasses, you'll see that sort of purpley rainbow sort of effect. It's not getting that. You'll also notice that the outside of the camera doesn't have that lens cover on it. In fact, they send you this little sticker. Get that on the camera. They send you this little sticker instead to put on your camera for that lens cap, which I haven't bothered to do. Now we'll just close this off quickly. Come over to the web page here. Now, this is actually really important. We'll get into that in a second. But here's the N60, and that lens there is very different from the product that I actually got. You go down, you look at the pictures, there's a lot of people that comment that it looks very different. Some people think that's the reason why their camera's not working. I have a funny feeling that these are probably made from parts of old mobile phones for the cameras that are in the back of the mobile phones. And that's why we're seeing a massive difference in the lenses, and most likely the CCD inside the camera itself. These don't specify the type of hardware which is inside the actual camera. So I think what we're getting is everyone is getting a slightly different product in some way. Maybe they changed the design for this year, but I don't know, there's issues, and you come down, and this is, I didn't realize the reviews were at the end of it. I came down and went through and I was looking at all the details. I'm like, this is a great picture. This is not true. What you're seeing here for the 1080p, the image quality isn't there. It is a lot better than the Kmart camera. Colors are fantastic in comparison. The light adjustments are there. They auto-correct. We can hold up this. It's reversed on this. I'll pull it away. You should see a camera. You should just very quickly see that camera adjust in the color. And you can see it very quickly adjusts and adapts to those lighting shifts, which is important. I have a window to the side of me, a massive sliding door. This is my dining room that I have this set up in. And, you know, any light change on the outside, the Kmart one was always washed out. It was just really bad. This one's handling it well so far, but I am on day one. I've only just fixed this a couple of hours ago, and I want to get straight into the review. So we come down and we can see that some people have actually received what is shown on the image. Great for the price. We come down to some people that are saying they've plugged it, they followed the instructions, nothing comes up. That's the problem I had. Now I have a little bit of IT understanding. I built my own computer, for example, and this is a an AMD system with a X570 motherboard Pro in it. That is important. Because Intel is very different with the way their motherboards are made. So we have a whole heap here where they're unable to get it to work, and they're single stars. There's a lot of problems. There's like 30% that I can see when I'm going through this. You know, 19. You know, you add it up, you quickly get up there. So there's quite a few people that are having problems. I was one of them. I plugged it in. It did not work. It was just... red light came on indicating that the camera had power. First thing I did notice was the fact that the camera looked completely different, considering it said N60. I plugged it into my back ports where I wanted it to run from. They're all USB 3.2 ports on the back of it and greater. There's only a keyboard and a mouse. A glitch there. I have to see what that's related to later and see if it gets better or worse. So we've only got a powered keyboard and mouse. There's nothing else, and a microphone. They're the only things plugged into the back of this computer. AMD do usually pair their ports up, so instead of having two under one controller, one power, they may do 3 or 4 of them. But even running it on its own independent one, I wasn't getting this to come up, but I could get it to come up on the front USB 3, which I found very bizarre, but it would crash the computer. The keyboard and mouse would go out. I'd restart the computer. Restarting the computer with it plugged in, the fan would spin up, and then the fan would die out, and the computer would turn off, and this would repeat. And then when I got the computer to start, it went into the BIOS. It wasn't looking good. It's just absolute nightmare and something that you don't want to deal with when you're plugging a camera in, that it's breaking a system in this sort of manner. I'd get the computer to start up, try the back ports again, unplugged everything, no go in the back ports whatsoever, plug it into the front one. It'd come up, it'd crash the computer, and it was repeating this nightmare over and over again. So back in the box, looking at sending it back. Kind of a nightmare dealing with Amazon sending things back, you know, that stress, you know, is it going to go missing in the post and so forth. Something I don't like dealing with. And it got me thinking of the way that the computer was turning itself off is usually related to a power issue. The keyboard and the mouse turning off like that is usually indicative of a power issue. This is an 850 watt Corsair silver power supply in this system, which is overkill for the type of system that I'm actually running. It's not a massive gaming system. It's only got a GTX 1070 in it, which is very low power draw. There's no reason the camera shouldn't be working. There's plenty of power there for it. But it's coming off as a power issue. And that's where this comes in. I decided to go out and spend $33 on this powered USB port hub with smart switching technology. So it knows, you can see that color adjustment working the way it should. That's important. So this hub knows what's pulling power and what it should be putting power to. So I thought, okay, go out, buy it. It's probably better than putting up with the headache of looking for another camera. It's better than putting up with the headache of having to send it off, wondering what's happening and so forth. So I spent the $33. So we're up at over $90 odd now to get this camera working. At this point, you can go out and buy a better camera than the NexiGo and, you know, have a better experience than this, and, you know, buy a name brand product. I won't say like, you know, there's, what is it, the Microsoft, I wouldn't buy a camera like that. Yeah. So, but, you know, there's Razer cameras that you can get for about the $98 mark, which would be better than this camera. Or, in theory, they should be. You'd have to watch a couple of reviews on that. After seeing all the reviews on this camera that led me to buy this camera, it's like talking about the camera reviews for Kmart cameras, and there are no reviews on it. And it makes me feel that these reviewers are getting the products and deliberately giving good reviews. I feel like the reviews on the NexiGo camera are the same. They've been sent the camera, maybe they're being sent the cameras with the higher quality parts in it, and they're having a better experience. But the quality of this doesn't get anywhere near the quality of the B-roll that they're uploading on the internet. As you could see with my opening scene, you can see that it's not as clear as a digital SLR, but it certainly beats my Kmart web camera. And it certainly looks really good up in this top corner, and we've got a lot of better colors coming through, a lot easier with the green screen. There's a lot less artifacts. I think I can hold my hands up where it knows how to adjust the light for the foreground and the background, so we're not getting those little black dots happening, and we can just see that crisper, cleaner color come across. That's so important. So this is a good camera. Now back to AMD and Intel. AMD motherboards for a long time have basically had one or two controllers on it, and they spread it out across 8 USB ports on the back of your system. Now, the reason I believe this worked on the front one, even with the issues, was the front one has an independent USB controller for those front ports for USB 3.2 or 0.3 that you plug in. So I feel that was what was making it come up. The people that are reviewing it, obviously they're using their digital SLRs. They're not going to be pulling the computer out, plugging it into the back of the computer is an absolute nightmare doing that. They're probably plugging it into those front ports, so they're getting better results when they're actually testing the cameras. They're not in a real world scenario, which is what you're seeing in my video, is the real world headaches of having to put up with it. And we're not seeing many reviews on that or anyone talking about that with the NexiGo, which I find odd. So it makes me think those are a little bit on the take, especially when some of these reviews are pretty new, and this camera looks very, very different to what they're actually they have and what they're running. So let's talk about that lens. So again, I've got the funny feeling that they're just using old mobile phone parts because of the way those lenses are different on the camera. One moment it looks like it's running a Samsung lens from old Samsung cameras, and next minute it looks like it's a LG or, you know, another brand phone there. So I have a funny feeling that they're recycling parts and just using, which is good because we don't want a lot of e-waste out there. So that's not a bad thing. It just means it's hit and miss. Underneath the camera's opening clamp that goes onto the top of your monitor, it has the specs for the power. It says that it's 500 milliamp at 1 amp, which literally means that it's a really low voltage. We're not seeing that. We're seeing something here which on a 10 watt USB port is not able to supply the power to it, and the computer is crashing as a result of this device trying to pull more power than what the hub can actually supply. That's not good. That you know, that's, if you're going to do that with a webcam, maybe have 2 leads running to your webcam. So one USB is a power lead, if not plug it into a wall, and then your secondary one is the signal. We see this on, what can we use for an example? Headphones. USB headphones. They'll have one port for the RGB, and then they'll have the other USB port, which is actually your microphone and your audio sound that's coming through. So, you know, do that. You know, you have your one lead running down, have your 2 USB ports. There's clearly a massive issue for about 30% plus people out there saying that they're having this problem. And I'm hoping this video gets out so people can actually see the problem and know how to address it. If you're buying this USB hub, make sure that it is a powered USB hub, make sure it's USB 3, and make sure that it has the intelligent switching so you know that it's getting enough power to each one of the ports. Maybe just have one device on it. NexiGo in this case, don't overpower your port, so you're making sure you're getting the most power to your actual device. And yeah, you're going to have to do, that's the only way I can see around the issue to get it running. Otherwise, my advice would be probably steer away from the camera. If you don't have an individual PCI slot, USB, add-on expansion card in your system, which you know is supplying a lot of power to each one of the hubs, it's not a shared I/O controller, and you don't want the headaches, then this is probably not the camera for you. If you've already got a powered USB hub and you know it's a good USB hub, and you're looking for a better upgrade to the camera that you've got, and this isn't breaking the bank by adding it all together to buy the one device, then that might be worth looking at. But it's something that you need to really think about before clicking the buy button for this camera. Intel supply more power to their USB hubs. They're independent, where it's only usually one controller for 2. The reviews which are good are probably the Intel motherboards. I know that's a weird thing to say, but you know, there's clearly an issue going on out there. A lot of it's got to do with obviously NexiGo. NexiGo need to take responsibility for the device they've made and the problems that they're actually causing. And you know, this device is pulling a lot more power than what it says it should be. I'd love to see like a technician be able to actually isolate the pins and work out what power draw this is actually pulling, and break it down and say, yeah, look, this product is pulling a lot more power than it says it requires, because that's what we're seeing. We're certainly seeing it pull a lot of power. So that's the NexiGo camera, and that's the power hub, and that's what it's going to take for you to get it working. So from here, I guess we'll talk about the camera. So of course we'll go back and we'll have a look at the quality. Sorry if you lost audio there for a minute. So we'll come back over here and we'll just take a look at this for a moment. So, okay. So what we have here is obviously the quality of the video, and I guess it's up to you to decide whether it's good quality or bad quality. I have come through and I have done filters and I have done adjustments to get my skin colors a little bit to what I want with the way the background's running. Let's talk about the green screen. I can't remember if we're going to lose audio on this. So, new camera. So this is the green screen. So I'm just going to go under. I'll kill that background. We'll go to black. So we notice the green comes up. That's because the green reflection on the glasses and it's reflecting on my skin. So that's what's going on there. So we go to the black and we notice that disappears. That's why we don't notice it when we have the other screens on, because there's no green reflecting from my glasses and skin. So we'll come up to the video device itself, and I'm just going to turn off the chroma. Okay, so I don't have to have any color adjustments to get this green to actually look green. It was very grey with the Kmart web camera. With this one, we're seeing that the colors are much more accurate to what they should be. Right now, this is the way the camera is actually seeing things. We can see the blues, we can see everything right. The green is a little bit dark in the background, but it's just the lighting in the room at the moment isn't exactly the best. So green screen that back up. Chroma key back on. Come back over to here. Okay, so the camera's a lot better than the Kmart camera. There is no doubt about that. It is doing its auto adjustments. It's doing what I need it to do. It does have the wide angle on it, which is great because it gives it more points reference to do its color adjustment and work out that lighting. So that is important to it. It does have the fisheye lens still to it, even though it's a different camera to the one that they're showing on their website. Of course, you're zooming in and you're cropping anyway, so that's really not an issue, and I am zoomed in on this quite a bit. So yeah, that's the NexiGo web camera. That's a lot of food for thought if someone's looking at buying one of these. Would I recommend it after what I've gone through? I wouldn't. If you've got it, and I notice a lot of the people saying, hey, it's sitting here on my desk and they haven't sent it back. Or maybe NexiGo got it and sent it back, saying, hey, there's no problems with it, we've tested it. I have no idea. But yeah, unfortunately, you're going to have to go out and buy a powered USB hub to get the thing working. It's a very power-hungry device. If I can think of it, we should talk about the cord length on both the NexiGo N60 camera and also on the USB hub by Simpleco. We'll start with the hub. The hub's cord is actually very, very short. So reaching it to the back of the computer, which I have on the floor, it's just long enough to plug into the top USB port. So I had to move my mouse down. Yes, I did unplug the mouse and the keyboard from the top port and try the camera just on the top one by itself, and it was a no-go. So I've had to plug this into the top because it's very short cord, and the power cord is long enough to get it into the PowerPoint, so that wasn't an issue. NexiGo camera is probably worse for the length of the cord. I guess they're probably thinking laptops in mind, and they've kept the cord short. Problem is, when you've got a computer which is on the ground, and you've got a rather large monitor, the length of the cord with the camera on top of the monitor is not long enough to actually get the cord into the computer. So it barely reached to get into the top ports and the ports underneath, and I had to have that the camera off and physically have it like not on top of the monitor. but have it down near the PC when I was doing all the troubleshooting and testing, trying to work it out. Bright side with the hub is I have managed to get that just on the desk on the corner, and the camera is plugged into that quite easily. But those cords are very short, and this camera does not like being on an extension cord at all. I have tried it on that because I wanted to see if I could get some length to play with it and maybe have it like behind me and then use the computers as the backdrop for intros, and that's a no-go because it is a very short cord. And we should talk about their the software, which I'll use a screen recorder, and we'll talk about something which is very off with that. What I'm just going to do here, I'm just going to open up. Bear with me. Just opening up the internet, and we're just going to their NexiGo page, and I want to show you this, so we'll just come back over. Okay, so this is the camera. And we come down to here, and it talks about the color adjustments. Now we notice there's a gamma adjustment here, and there's a hue adjustment, and there's a backlight compensation adjustment. They don't exist on this camera, which is another reason I say that there is no way this camera is the one that's in the picture. They may be calling it the N60, but if it's an N60, it's a completely different model, and they've greatly changed it. And as I said, the way that CCD is, sorry about the audio there, the way that CCD is, and with the image quality that you're getting, it's not as good as what you see in the YouTube videos where they're reviewing the model, which looks different to this. So there is massive changes, and yeah, I mean, I paid the $60, not $50 for this one. Has it come down in price since I ordered it? No. Yeah, I paid $60 for this camera. So the camera I brought, paid $60 for it, and it is not as described, which is an issue. So I'm just going to go to the screen recording quickly, and we'll show you those settings that are missing. Okay, I want to talk about the NexiGo software. This is the same in OBS Studio when you bring up the adjustments for the physical camera. You'll notice on the website that I just showed you that it has hue, gamma, and backlight, and this doesn't have it. You do have white balance. If you undo auto, you can go through and adjust it. It's better with the auto on. So yeah, I mean, even if you change it to the 50 Hertz, that is not there. They're missing. It's the same with the exposure. Well, the exposure is there when you unclick it. But yeah, I mean, it blacks out, and the only way to actually get any light to it is by having it on auto. Maybe that's got to do with the gain. Yeah, okay, I haven't played with that too much. That gain does add a lot of grain to it, so you can see that obviously the exposure is better on auto. But yeah, I mean, there are some issues with the software. I do find that if I apply this and then in OBS doesn't recognize these settings, they're not saved in it. So I've had to adjust OBS differently. But this is just another thing that shows you that this camera is not the same as the one that they're selling on the website, that there is a version difference, and that it's pretty clear that the quality is not the same. I mean, the resolution, I have a funny feeling, is not true 1080. It seems stretched out. The quality isn't near what a real 1080 CCD should be. And I mean, I do photography as a hobby. That's how I, you know, one of the reasons I do the photo restorations is I have a good eye for that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, either it's doing some sort of scanline you know, separation to stretch out the image, but I doubt it. It looks like it's more just these pixels have been stretched out. I mean, you can go from there, you can go to that, And yeah, you can see that these pixels, it is very, very pixely. It is not a clean, crisp image. That's something you should know when you're ordering it. The Kmart one was worse because it didn't do the auto light adjustment at all. So, you know, it's hit and miss. For the value of the camera, if you're having to go out and buy the hub, like I said, I mean, it's just not worth it. It really isn't. People need to know this. I'm sticking with it because it works better with my green screen. So yeah. So that is the NexiGo N60 web camera. So that's some things that you'll need to know, that it definitely isn't the same as advertised on their website. It's better than the Kmart camera, and I'll stick with it due to that fact and just the hassle of going through trying to find another web camera and the value for money. So I'll put up with, you know, the fact that it doesn't look like the YouTube videos that show it next to a digital SLR, and it's practically the same. And of course, if you've got one and it's not working, you need to get yourself a powered USB hub and a good quality one to get the damn thing to work, which is a massive headache. But nonetheless, it's probably less of a headache than going through the rigmarole of sending it back and hoping that it arrives and that you get the refund. So until then, I'll see you in the next one.